The video you're watching is a curated list of the 25 most dangerous climbing routes in the world that I've put together. We're talking about vertical cliff faces where you'll need every bit of strength in your hands and feet just to survive these impossible places. Some of these peaks look so surreal, you won't even believe they actually exist. Take a look at how they're tackling this climb. Do you think they'll make it to the summit? The line between life and death is thinner than a millimeter here. One tiny slip and you'll be flying for free down a 1,000-meter abyss. So, set your fears aside, because what Huayna Planet is about to show you is truly beyond imagination. Striding Edge. This is a sharp ridge leading up to the summit of Helvellyn. It's not just a trekking route, it's a true test of mental fortitude. The structure of Striding Edge resembles the spine of a giant dinosaur. At its narrowest points, you're only a few handspans wide with sheer cliffs on either side. The initial challenge upon arriving here is that you must use all four limbs to hold on. It's impossible not to mention the final section of the ridge before reaching the summit, known as the chimney. Rocky section about 7 meters high. Just one misstep, and the story will take a completely different turn. Angel's Landing. The name originates from a 1916 remark that the place is so high that only angels could land there. But in reality, reaching the summit requires a dramatic journey. The first section is a fairly flat paved trail along the Virgin River. But don't let that smoothness fool you. Immediately following is Walter's Wiggles, a series of 21 steep, winding hairpin turns. The terrain is a narrow, jagged limestone path with deep ravines on either side. The abyss is over 450 meters deep. One misstep is not just a technical error, it's the end. Kalalau Trail. This is one of the most famous and spectacular hiking trails in Hawaii, stretching 11 miles along the Na Pali coast. famous for its majestic landscapes, streams, and rugged terrain, especially the Crawler's Ledge area within Impossible Places. You need to pay attention to packing skills, experience crossing streams, and thorough preparation before undertaking this journey. The trail crosses 5 valleys before ending at Kalalau Beach, and where it is blocked by sheer, gorge-ridden cliffs. This section of the trail becomes more difficult and steep as it climbs 800 feet from the Hanakapiai Valley. You are only permitted to camp at Hanakoa or Kalalau and not anywhere else along the trail or at the trail's starting point. Huayna Picchu. It's the steep mountain peak behind Machu Picchu that you often see in classic postcard photographs. The climb is short but quite strenuous, with narrow stone steps, some steep sections, and a well-deserved reward at the summit. Remember to book months in advance. Tickets are mandatory and sell out very quickly. Perhaps the best part of this climb is the 360-degree view from the summit, encompassing the Inca ruins and the lush mountain scenery. The iconic mountain peak, rising directly behind the ancient citadel of Machu Picchu, yes, holding deep historical and spiritual significance in Inca culture. El Caminito del Rey. Before its renovation in 2015, it was known as the world's most dangerous road. Broken concrete slabs and rusty iron bars hanging precariously on the cliff face have claimed the lives of many thrill seekers. Located 100 meters above the Guadalhorce River along Malaga's Gaitanes Gorge, this cliffside path is as narrow as 1 meter in places. The walkway clings to the vertical cliffs of Gaitanes Gorge in Malaga, about 100 meters above the Guadalhorce River below, with some sections only 1 meter wide. With one side, a rugged grey limestone cliff, and the other, a crystal-clear river and vast sky, Impossible Places offers an irresistible allure. This contrast creates an irresistible allure, making you want to both race to the finish line and linger to admire the view. Although safety is now much better with the mandatory guardrails and helmets, psychological pressure remains the biggest challenge. Drakensberg Traverse. This isn't the kind of well-marked trail with rest stops and quick rescue services like in Europe or some other famous treks. It's a true wilderness, and that's what makes it both so appealing and terrifying. With most of the terrain being on the escarpment plateau at an altitude of over 3,000 meters, there are no fixed trails. You mainly follow GPS, shepherd trails, jagged rocks, and tussock grass that can easily cause sprains and slips. Along with that, there's an elevation gain of approximately 20 to 26 kilometers, meaning an average of 800 to 1,200 meters uphill and downhill each day. You must be extremely fit, have experience in multi-day backpacking, be a skilled navigator, and be able to withstand cold. At the Maze, Canyonlands National Park. The Maze is the most remote area of the Canyonlands. As its name suggests, it is a complex network of identical sandstone canyons. To reach the starting point of the trail, you must drive a four-wheel drive off-road vehicle over rough terrain for at least 3 to 6 hours. Once inside, there's no phone signal, no rescue stations, and sometimes not even a human footprint for days. And don't expect clear signposts in the maze. You'll have to rely on small stone pillars left by previous visitors. Devil's Path. This is one of the harshest and most dangerous experiences in the northeastern United States. With a total length of approximately 22 to 24 miles, depending on the measurement method and whether or not there is a detour to the summit. The trail has no easy sections. You're constantly climbing steep inclines and descending almost vertical slopes. And in many places, you have to use your hands and feet to hold on, almost like a light Class 3 ride. This is not a road for beginners, not for anyone wanting to try a thrill for the first time. Mist Trail to Half Dome. Don't let the romantic name fool you. This is a steep, rocky staircase right next to Vernal and Nevada Falls. The danger lies in the fact that the steps are always slippery due to the spray from the falls. Just one misstep, and mist will turn into a memorable slip in the midst of impossible places. Many people underestimate this section because it's near the main tourist area, but in reality, this is where most rescues due to exhaustion occur. It's a granite monster. The biggest mistake trekkers make is being stubborn. West Coast Trail. It is one of the most famous coastal trekking routes in the world. But at the same time, it is also one of the most dangerous and harsh routes, often referred to as the graveyard of the Pacific. The terrain here is deep and muddy, with tree roots protruding like traps, and the boardwalk is rotten. Along with continuous rain, strong winds, and low temperatures, despite it being summer. This made the wet road almost entirely slippery throughout the journey, multiplying the overall risk. If you're willing to respect it and prepare thoroughly, this could be one of the most amazing trekking experiences of your life. Mount Washington. This isn't an advertising slogan, it's a scientific fact. Mount Washington is located at the intersection of air currents from the Atlantic, the Gulf, and northwestern Canada. This place once held the world record for the strongest surface wind speed. The wind here doesn't just blow, it knocks climbers down. You can start at the foot of the mountain wearing just a t-shirt under the 25 degrees Celsius summer sun. If you plan to conquer the giant, this time, prepare as if you were climbing an 8,000-meter mountain. Bright Angel Trail. It is one of the most classic trekking routes in the United States, but it is also ranked among the most dangerous hiking trails in America. The danger doesn't lie in the sheer cliffs, like some other trails, but in the way it deceives hikers. The greatest danger comes from the temperature, the silent killer. In summer, the bottom of the canyon can reach 45 to 50 degrees Celsius, while the rim is only about 30 to 35 degrees Celsius. Each year, the Grand Canyon records an average of 300 to 350 incidents, with Bright Angel incidents accounting for a very high percentage. Buckskin Gulch. It is the world's longest and deepest canyon, the Impossible Places. Located on the border between Utah and Arizona, It resembles a narrow, deep cut into the sandstone landscape. The winding rock walls resemble ribbons of orange, red, and purple. The light that filters through creates images that any photographer would be willing to sacrifice to obtain. This is the greatest danger. A rainstorm, tens of kilometers away, could pour water into this narrow gorge. The sudden rise in water, along with mud and dry tree trunks, turns the gorge into a giant, inescapable sewer. Mount Rinjani, this is Indonesia's second highest volcano, with a peak of 3,726 meters, located on Lombok Island. One of the most legendary and challenging trekking routes in Southeast Asia. Even many who have climbed Mount Fuji or Mount Batur say Rinjani is the ultimate physical challenge they have ever encountered. The greatest danger lies in the extremely harsh volcanic terrain, with continuous steep slopes and slippery volcanic ash and sand. Descending is far more brutal than climbing because the knees take an insane pounding. Pacaya Volcano. It should be a lush green mountaintop with birdsong. This is a living entity breathing. You'll be walking on strips of cooled lava from the 2010 and 2021 eruptions. It was like walking on the surface of another planet, sharp, pitch black, and arid amidst the impossible places. Volcanic ash is very slippery. With every step forward, you feel like you're being pushed back half a step, and it wears down your stamina very quickly. Never wear your most expensive shoes up here, because the sharp rocks and high temperatures will literally chew through your soles. Mount Huashan Plank Walk. Renowned as one of the 5 most sacred and treacherous mountains in China. The plank walk is located on the sheer cliffs of Nanfeng. Located at an altitude of approximately 2,160 meters above sea level, its structure consists only of crudely assembled wooden planks. The world's most dangerous road. But in reality, the danger comes not only from the height, but also from other factors. The road is very narrow, but tourists have to travel in both directions. This means you'll have to dodge oncoming traffic by clinging tightly to the chains and yielding to each other centimeter by centimeter. Skeleton Coast Trek. Along the coast, you'll encounter giant whale skeletons and the rusted remains of thousands of shipwrecks. Due to the dense fog meeting the desert heat, ships easily run into reefs, and once they reach shore, the sailors have no way back. There is virtually no natural fresh water. You are entirely dependent on your water supply or extremely scarce resupply points. It is for souls seeking humility before the grandeur of nature. When you walk on stretches of sand, where the imprint of your first footstep is instantly erased by the wind. Rub Al Khali. With an area of approximately 650,000 square kilometers, to put it simply, it's larger than the entire country of France. You can walk hundreds of kilometers without encountering a single tree, a water source, or another spirit. If you get lost, Nush, Empty Quarter, will live up to its name by returning you to perfect emptiness. In addition, you have to face enormous walls of sand. The sand dunes here can reach heights of up to 250 meters. Climbing a steep sand dune with your feet sinking deep into the hot sand is a terrible physical ordeal. Gobi Desert Treks. Contrary to the common belief that deserts are just sand, the Gobi Desert is a complex entity. Quicksand and massive dunes exhaust your legs worse than any rock climb one step forward, half a slip back. The temperature might drop below 0 degrees Celsius early in the morning, but by midday, the sun will be scorching you at 40 degrees Celsius or higher. Your body will constantly experience heat shock if you don't have a good regulation strategy. If you separate from the group now, the chances of getting lost are extremely high because footprints in the sand will be erased immediately. Jiroux del Roraima. What makes this trail so dangerous is the narrow strip of rock running along the mountainside. On one side is a sheer cliff, on the other, a deep abyss, hundreds of meters deep. In many sections, the path is only wide enough for 1 foot. Even with cable support, the feeling of weightlessness is enough to make even the most resilient people break out in a cold sweat. You'll face nearly vertical climbs on iron ladders and cables. At this altitude, a sudden downpour can turn the limestone into a literal ice skating rink. Precipice Trail. This path is full of iron ladders driven directly into the cliff face and narrow ledges just wide enough to place a foot on. If you feel dizzy while standing on the chair, and turn your head immediately. Many sections of the trail require you to walk across sheer cliffs with a bottomless abyss beneath your feet. A single misstep here is not just a scrape, it's a tragedy. The Precipice Trail is a symphony of rock and iron. It demands absolute concentration. If you're in good health, not afraid of heights, and own a pair of shoes with excellent grip on rocks, this will be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Tiger Leaping Gorge. The classic 28-curve trail is a true nightmare. It exhausts your endurance with relentless slopes, where your heart rate will be directly proportional to the altitude you reach. Many sections of the trek are just narrow trails running right along the edge of a precipice. On one side is a sheer cliff. On the other, the roaring Jinsha River below. Even a light rain can cause rocks to slide, making the path as slippery as if it were greased. This is what turns the stroll into a survival challenge. Snowdon via Goch. At an altitude of approximately 923 meters above sea level, it feels like you're standing on the roof of the world. The highlight of Goch is its narrow slope. Just one sudden gust of wind or a misstep, and you'll find yourself facing a chasm hundreds of meters deep. Here, the golden rule is the 3-point support. Always keep 2 hands and 1 foot, or 2 feet and 1 hand, gripping the rock. Many mountaineers are very fit, but freeze right at the summit due to a fear of heights. Once you've reached the middle of the ridge, turning back is sometimes more difficult and dangerous than continuing. Via Ferrata routes on Wendenstock. While many trails designed for tourists are equipped with safety gear, the trails at Wendenstock are on a different level. You'll be faced with nearly vertical limestone walls, hundreds of meters high. Even the walking path to the base of the cliff is enough to make the faint-hearted give up. The limestone here is very sharp and sometimes unstable. Rockfalls are a constant threat, whether you're wearing a seatbelt or not. You need excellent navigation skills, exceptional hand strength, and the ability to withstand extreme heights. Aonach Eagach Ridge. It is known as the narrowest and most dramatic trail on the British mainland. It connects the 2 peaks of Munro Mountain, Mayal Deag, and Sgor Nam Fianide. In many sections, you stand on a rock ledge only about half a meter wide, with sheer drops hundreds of meters deep on both sides. A sudden gust of wind is enough to make you feel incredibly small. This is the crucial point. Once you've reached the middle of the ridge, turning back is almost as difficult as continuing. Guoliang Tunnel Road. This is a chasm hundreds of meters deep, with no reliable guardrails, only a few crude stone pillars erected by villagers in the 1970s. The tunnel is approximately 1.2 kilometers long, only 4 meters wide and 5 meters high, just wide enough for 2 small cars to squeeze past each other in a split second. The villagers here carved it out themselves with hammers and chisels, meter by meter, for 5 arduous years, just to escape isolation. Previously, they only had a slippery and deadly stone staircase leading to the sky. Many people lost their lives during its construction. They never imagined that this path to survival would become one of the most dangerous routes on the planet. BR 116. It is Brazil's longest main artery, as running from north to south. But don't let appearances fool you. This is where driving skill accounts for only 50%. The other 50% is luck and courage. The stretch of road from Curitiba to São Paulo is a real nightmare. You'll face a series of hairpin bends alongside precipices. The fog here is so thick that you can feel like you're driving through a giant cloud. Visibility is sometimes reduced to just a few meters, turning every turn into a gamble with death. Despite being a vital artery, the road surface quality of BR 116 presents a significant challenge. Commonwealth Avenue. If you ever thought familiar streets were already difficult, then Commonwealth Avenue Metro Manila will make you think again. With an official speed limit of 60 kilometers per hour, buses and some private drivers actually travel at 80 to 100 kilometers per hour as if nothing happened. Near many accidents result from overspeeding and loss of control. With an estimated 3 to 5 accidents per day, it has consistently ranked among the deadliest roads in the Philippines for many years. At one point, it was even ranked highly on the global list of dangerous roads, although it wasn't the typical treacherous mountain road. Sani Pass. When you get here, don't expect smooth, paved roads, because Sani Pass is a combination of rocks, mud, and hairpin bends so steep you feel like you're driving up a house wall. Due to strict regulations, the South African authorities only allow 4x4 vehicles to go up the mountain. If you bring a sedan here, the border guards will flatly refuse because they don't want to have to retrieve the wreckage from the ravine. Just a slight misstep or loss of balance on the rocky terrain, and then the car will instantly slide backward through impossible places. Trollstigen. With 11 consecutive hairpin bends, each almost 180 degrees, and an average gradient of 9 to 10%, reaching up to 11% in some places. The car goes up like an elevator ride and down like bungee jumping with the brakes applied. Narrow road, many sections barely 1 lane wide, cliff on one side, abyss on the other, feels like driving on the edge of a chessboard. Large tourist buses still run regularly, and encountering them on the road is a nightmare. Many drivers recall their first time driving, heart pounding, hands sweaty, even at 10 degrees Celsius. If you're driving yourself, a manual transmission is better than an automatic because it offers better control over speed when going downhill. Transfagarasan Highway. Reaching an altitude of 2,042 meters, and this road traverses the Carpathian Mountains with steep and continuous hairpin bends. Viewed from above, it resembles a ribbon of silk thrown down the mountainside in a chaotic yet artistic manner. The weather is unpredictable. You start in warm sunshine, but reach the summit in thick fog or even summer snow. In many sections, the distance between your wheels and the abyss is only a few handspans, with rather modest guardrails. And don't be surprised if you have to brake suddenly because a flock of sheep is leisurely crossing the road. Kahakuloa Highway. The road is about 20 to 35 miles long, but the most dangerous section is only about 9 to 13 kilometers. It narrows to a single lane carved directly into the mountainside, with a sheer cliff on one side and a hundreds of meters deep abyss on the other. There are no guardrails and no clear markings in many places, blind U-shaped bends and frequent rockfalls. Two-way road, but only wide enough for one car, so one vehicle often has to reverse tens of meters when meeting oncoming traffic. Many people describe having to reverse while their heart pounds, sweat pours, praying no big truck or SUV comes barreling toward them. Canning Stock Route, Australia. Holds the title of the longest and most remote trail on the planet between impossible places. Established in 1910 for herding cattle, it has no paved roads, no convenient gas stations, and most importantly, no room for error. To get here, you'll have to navigate around 51 giant sand dunes. The road surface is mostly extremely bumpy, corrugations, which can break axles or cause any unsecured components to fall off. If your car breaks down in the middle of the road, our towing costs can run into tens of thousands of dollars, and you may have to wait for days. D915, Bayburt-Of. This is the road connecting Of with Bayburt, approximately 106 kilometers long, but the most notorious section is the Derabasha Virajlara area. The area features 29 to 38 extremely sharp hairpin bends, including a 5.1 kilometer section with 17 consecutive bends. With an altitude ranging from approximately 1,712 meters to 2,035 meters above sea level, the slope reaches up to 17%. The road is so narrow that when two cars meet, they often have to back up to give way, and there are no guardrails. The road is mostly gravel, with a poor surface prone to landslides, and the weather is unpredictable, making it especially dangerous in winter. Many people describe the feeling of driving here as heart-pounding, eyes glued to the road, unafraid to look over to the cliff. Passage du Gois. A causeway, approximately 4.12 kilometers long, connects Noirmoutier Island to the mainland. What makes it legendary isn't its steepness or curves, but the fact that it only exists for a few hours each day. When the tide rises, the road completely disappears under the Atlantic Ocean's water, which is up to 4 meters deep. When the water receded, it was revealed like a silken ribbon, covered in green moss and mud. Driving through here, you only have a narrow passage for about 1.5 hours before and after the lowest tide to cross. Just a moment's delay and your car will turn into a submarine. Stelvio Pass. This is one of the highest mountain passes in the Alps, located on the Italian-Swiss border, connecting Valtellina with the Adige Valley. What really makes it legendary isn't the height, but the 48 to 60 hairpin bends, especially the north side's 48 stone-numbered curves. Many sections are only wide enough for one vehicle, and some narrow curves require large vehicles to maneuver multiple times to get through. Low concrete barriers, with a hundreds of meters deep drop right outside, brake 0.5 seconds late or steer even slightly off, and you're instantly gone. With a history of crashes, from legend Sterling Moss's accident here to countless cars going off due to the sharp corner. If you're confident in yourself, love adrenaline, and want a once-in-a-lifetime experience, then this is a challenge worth facing. Los Caracoles Pass. If you think you're a skilled driver, Los Caracoles will make you think again. Located at an altitude of over 3,000 meters in the majestic Andes Mountains, this trail is not for the faint of heart. Caracoles, in Spanish, means snail, viewed from above, the sharp curves stacked upon each other like the spirals of a snail shell. This is a continuous, winding stretch of asphalt, forcing drivers to constantly turn the steering wheel. The path climbs relentlessly uphill with no guardrails in many sections. A small mistake could lead straight to a deep ravine. For much of the year, this road is covered in snow, making driving up the steep slope a terrible test of skill and mental fortitude. Rohtang Pass. Located at an altitude of approximately 3,978 meters above sea level, about 51 to 53 kilometers from Manali. Along with hundreds of consecutive hairpin bends, many sections of the road are so narrow that only one car can pass at a time. On one side is a sheer cliff, on the other, a chasm hundreds of meters deep. Here, a moment of inattention and you could be sent flying. Many people call Rohtang a pile of corpses because accidents and deaths due to bad weather occur frequently. The tourism boom has led to thousands of cars crowding together, causing traffic jams that can last 4 to 6 hours, or even an entire day. This is a real challenge. It's terrifying, addictive, and so beautiful that you forget your fear when you're standing at the top. Zoji La Pass. Located at an altitude of approximately 3,528 meters above sea level, it connects the Kashmir Valley with the Ladakh region. On one side are sheer cliffs, on the other, a bottomless abyss. There are sections that are barely wide enough for a truck to pass, turning avoiding oncoming traffic into a tense battle of wits. And there's no premium asphalt here. The road surface is mostly dirt, gravel, and mud. Your car will literally dance